Well, good evening, everybody. How's it going? Uh, well, this is it. This is part 6 of our JMRI operations, and this is where the rubber meets the road. So, what we're going to do this evening is go and build some trains in the system. So, let's get started. I'm going to open our Panel Pro. And now, once that's open, we're going to go up to Operations, and then from Operations down to Trains. So this is where we're going to build our trains, is right here. So what I want to do though is I want to go back and just look at the routes for just a moment, okay? So because building the train obviously depends on routes. All right, so these are the routes that I showed you yesterday. I am going to actually add one more in here so we can build a train for, because I have trains built already. So I'm just going to go down here to my add. This is going to be the industrial turn. And then I'm going to click add route. All right, first thing I'm going to do is location. We're going to depart the yard and we're going to head north out of the yard. Okay, and I am going to say we are going to be allowed 20 moves. That will give us 20 moves, up to 20 moves for the for building our train to head to the industrial area. The industrial area's got a lot of different types of industries, so it we can take up to 20 cars there and do some work. So random, I'm going to leave off, and remember we want to leave that off initially. So you're only going to turn the random on is if you're getting too much of the same amount. Like if every time a manifest is built, I'm always getting 18 cars. Then we're gonna turn the random on then and use it. But right now we can just leave it off. Okay. Pickups, yes. Setouts, no, because this is our departure point. Uh, Wait time is 0. There's our max length for our train. So this is it. So I'm just going to click the save route button because I like to click it after every time I add something in case the program crashes or anything, it's already saved. So the next location, I'm going to go to the industrial and grain location. I'm going to add it. Okay, 20 moves once again once we get there. Randoms off. Pickups and setouts, yes, for both. Uh, so we're going to be able to pick up and set out cars at that location. Okay. Now from there, I'm just going to head back to the yard. Okay, I've added the yard, and the direction on this one is going to be south because it's going to get to the industrial section, do the work, and then head back south again. Once again, 20 moves, randoms off. Pickups, no, but set outs, yes, because I want to drop all the cars off when I get there. All right. So that's building of another route in my system. I'm going to click the save route button and go ahead and close it. So now we've got an industrial turn route done. Okay. So let's go to operations, trains, and let's look at a train that I've already built. Okay. So I'm just going to edit this morning super dog, and that was a term. I don't know if other railroads used it, but Kansas City Southern used super dog. Um, because the crew was dogged out and dog tired. That's what they said. So because it was a hard working train. It was a local that did a lot of pickups and set outs and things like that. So that's why they called it a super dog. So I've got two morning ones, one northbound and one southbound, and two evening ones, one northbound and southbound. And I've numbered the trains 97, 96, etc. So, all right. So let's just open the southbound morning super dog. Okay. So what I've done is I have chosen all the cars it can have. Okay, and the type of engine. If you don't choose the type of engine, it won't build it if you say you require locomotives. Now, my locomotive requirements I've set to 0. And the reason I have done that is because I don't want the program choosing which locomotives or which consist that um, that I'm using for my train. Okay. I want to be able to choose them myself. I'll stick them on the front of the train myself. So whatever ones I happen to put on there. Now, if I can do 1, 2, 3 locomotives, or I can just say auto. And what auto will do is when the manifest is generated, it will assign the number of locomotives that need to be assigned. Now, the problem with that is if you need 2 locomotives, you have to have consist set up in your system. Okay? I do not have consist set up in my system because I want to consist whatever 2 locomotives I want to consist together. There might be times where I'm working on one and I just don't want the hassle myself of consisting things in JMRI. So I consist them in of course, in my NCE controller, but JMRI doesn't. I don't have to have that to build a train, and I'm not going to. So my locomotives, I set at 0. If you want to set it at 1, if your trains are really short, 1 might be sufficient. Uh, if you want to set it at 2, then you're going to have something consistent. And if you have it at auto, the same thing, because if it assigns 2 engines, those 2 engines have to be consisted together. Okay. Now, my optional last car and train requirements, caboose. I have to have a caboose. This is 1976. There's no such thing as a train running the main line without a caboose. Okay, so, and of course, the road for the caboose is KCS. That's the only cabooses I have. All right, and I've said that this southbound train can take any type of car. Now, I can go through here and uncheck the things that the cars that don't get serviced at the following locations if I wanted to. I don't really need to because the tracks that are over there, I have listed what cars they can accept, and it's not going to put anything in the train that none of the tracks over there can accept. So that's why I don't have to uncheck any of these. I'm unchecking a few, just things that I don't ever have over there, like maintenance away, vegetable tank cars, baggage cars, that kind of stuff. I don't even have any. I don't have passenger cars, etc. I don't have any stock cars. I don't. So that's. I'm going to leave it at that. Now I've said it can go by diesel or engine, either one. I don't really want a switcher doing this, so unless it's a road switcher, of course. But I have those set up as diesel locomotives, so we're okay. Um, let's set a departure time. I said 0900. You can set that for whatever you want. And like I said, it requires a caboose. So every time you do it, you click Save Train. Uh, and like I say, this train is my southbound super dog. Uh, I've said I want it to be able to service all of the locations. So, like I said, it's not going to take any cars in the train that don't go to one of those locations. So, really, unchecking what I don't need, baggage, maintenance away, is kind of a moot point, but I did it anyway. So, just to show you. All right. Anytime you set something up in here or change it, make sure you click Save Train. Okay. So, let's go ahead and actually build one for that industrial turn, okay? Um, I am going to add a new train down here. I click the Add button. All right, the name is the industrial turn, and you can give it a train number or anything you want. I don't have to put in a description, but I just wanted to. What time is this going to run? Let's see, I have a 9, 10, 11. I think I'm going to just run this one at noon. How about that? This is going to run at noon every day. Okay, so I fill in the name, the description, the departure time, and now what I'm going to do is add train. Once I add train, all of these boxes are going to pop up checked. I can clear all or select all if I want, or just check or uncheck what I don't need. If you want a caboose at the end of the train, you have to have caboose checked. If you do not have that checked, it won't be able to add a caboose and it won't build your manifest for you. This is something I learned. uh, if you tell it needs a caboose, it's got to be able to have that type of car in the train, a caboose. So I had to, for the longest time, I couldn't figure out why my manifest weren't building because I told it it needed a caboose. And then I said, um, I had this unchecked. So anyway, optional last car and trains, caboose. KCS is obviously the road, only cabooses I have. What type of locomotive? Not electric, not a gas turbine, not a steam, not a heavy steam, not a light steam, not a mixed steam, not a passenger, and I don't want a switcher, so I just leave diesel, and I don't even know why I leave engine checked. But once again, if I wanted it to assign locomotives, I would choose the auto function, okay? And I could put a model here if I wanted to, um, but I am not going to. If I wanted to want a certain model on it, I could, and a certain road. Okay, but I'm going to leave the locos at 0, so I can assign whatever locomotive or whatever consist of locomotives that I want to assign. Okay, it's as easy as that. Let me add the route now. The route's going to be the industrial turn. Okay, and I can go in here and edit the route if I want. See, it's just as easy that now the route window pops up and I can edit it. Okay, the route's the industrial turn. All those cars. Here's the following locations. 0 locos caboose. I can click Save Train now. Now I have my train added to my list. Here it is with the checkbox. So there's all my trains for the day. You can also go in and where was that? Train schedules. So I can go into a schedule if I wanted to and check which days the train runs. If it's only Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, okay, something like that. My manifests are only going to be generated when I'm out here running trains, so I don't need to pick a certain day. If you were running trains every day, then yeah, you would probably want to do that. Okay, so tools. That's the big thing under there. The options. Let me show you a little bit about the options menu under the trains. Uh, leave them set uh, at the defaults for the first time. Okay, the first time your build option is going to be normal. Uh, I have mine set to aggressive and to pass through the list 4 times. And what that does is, as I've told you in other videos, when I'm selling some cars, so I have way too many cars. So I've got a full yard. If I leave it on normal, a lot of times it will just not build correctly. So since I have such a full yard, I want it to build aggressively and run through the list of my cars in the yard. And that just helps it build my trains a little bit better. Like I say, for most of you, leave it on normal. You can change it later if you want to. Any of these checkbox, allow local spur to spur moves, allow local yard to yard moves. Okay, so that's just allowing moves on a spur, allowing moves within the yard, things like that. Uh, so this is what I have checked. Like I said, you can just leave it the default when you first open it up will be fine, and then you can go in and mess with this kind of stuff. Just save. All right. So you can see now I have all my trains listed. My northbound, southbound for the morning and the evening. My industrial turn, my local yard switcher, and my let's just look at the yard switcher real quick. And what this is, it's a train that goes from my yard to my spur, which is on the other side of the main line, back into the yard. So all that does is it's the local switcher that can drop some cars off from the yard over to the spur and vice versa. All right, so that's just another job I can have if I want to. I don't know at this point how long things are going to take one manifest. I imagine one manifest to run one train around the layout's probably going to be an hour, just based on me the other day running the trains from my paper mill yard over to my refinery. Took me to switch them and move them, took me about a half an hour. So I can say a train is going to leave the yard, and making all the stops it needs to make is probably going to take around an hour to an hour and a half. Okay, so I just want to make sure if we have an operating session, I have enough trains to build in the system already. So I've built as many as I need to. Now, if you've done everything correctly, this is the fun part. So you see these build boxes here. If I want to build everything, I can just check the boxes. If I only want to build some of my trains, then I would only check some of the boxes. If I only wanted to build one train, I just click the build button. So the checking the boxes just means that you'll build whatever's checked. Okay. All right. So I've checked all my boxes because I'm going to build everything. And now let's see if I did everything right, like on that industrial turn. So what I'm going to do is come down here to the bottom. I don't want to see the build reports, but I want to be able to preview my manifest. The build reports just kind of give you a detail of what happened during the build, and I don't really need that right now. So I've got all the boxes checked. I'm going to hit the build button. Are we ready? And you can go see everything's turned into preview. Look at that. Nope, except the last one. Why did it not? Build failed. Let's see why the build failed. Send all car pickups. Okay. Oh, let's see. Found 63 cars for the train. Hmm. Well, let's open it up. Let's see what it says. Oh, it says train built. I wonder then why I have a build fail. All right. Let's hit the button. Go in here. I'm going to reset it, save it, close it. Okay. Train's reset. Let me try to build it again and see what happens. All right, so the keeps failing on this one train, and I don't know why. Let's reset it and save it. And this is some of the things you'll run into, so don't panic. Let me check messages so I get messages when I build it. Okay. Requires caboose, can't find a caboose at departure. There we go. So what happened? Set caboose, caboose is checked. Oh, you know what? I know what it is. I have a certain amount of cabooses in my yard right now. I don't have all of them. So that's what's happened. All right. So that's why that one's not building. Right. Because I built 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's all my cabooses that I actually have in my yard right now. So that's why this last one doesn't build. Once I run these trains and terminate them, I'll be able to build that other train. Okay. So good. Let's see what it did. Let's do a preview function of the manifest. And there it is. Wow, look at that. So it tells me I'm going to pick up all of these cars. There's 20 empties. Okay, including the caboose. And I could mark them load if I'm not, but I've marked all these empty. So it tells me what the train needs to have on it when it leaves. It tells me the next line says, there's a space here. It says scheduled work at the paper mill to pick up these 2 cars. And let's go to the next page, pick up these, and then look at these set outs. So that tells me where to set out, what track to set them out on. Isn't this incredible? So the program's just randomly doing these and looking at your cars. It looks at the number of moves a certain car has done and picks out, tries to keep the move on each car up to about the same level. So then after I do that at the paper mill, it says this, I've got work at the cement plant, pick up a hopper, set out a chemical tank car, then work at the refinery, set out 1 car, and that's it. And then I've got work at the industrial and grain section, then work at the spur, and then back out to Alexandria Yard. I've got my set outs there, uh, and it says train terminates. If you'll notice the scheduled work at Alexandria Yard, let me show you. Here's a switch list. If I want to go in here and print the switch list for Alexandria Yard, I'm going to do preview. This will tell me what work my switcher needs to do in the yard for the trains. So scheduled work for train 97 southbound, the morning Superdog. Look, it departs at 9 o'clock. It's got to have all of these cars in the train. Okay, and then visit number 2 for train 97 southbound, which arrives at 1:12 p.m. and terminates. The visit 2 is just the return, okay, of the train, and these are the set outs, and this tells me where to put everything. And now here's the switch list for train 96, and 96 is return. Here's scheduled work for my local switcher, where I have to pick up cars and where do I have to move them to. Um, and so there you go. And now here's my industrial turn that I built. So the switch list will tell you, you give that to the person working the yard, and that will tell them what they need to do in the yard. Since they're working the spur too, I could just tell them, check Alexandria spur. And if I check, it'll do the yard and the spur switch list. It'll give me both. Ain't that cool? Now you'll notice that I've set mine up and I even have a logo up here in the corner. So you can do, when you have options up here under tools, manifest print options. Whatever fonts you can use. Now I've done mine tabular, and that's so it uses the tabs to move the columns over so they're not all bunched up together. And you can kind of have a pickup and set out format for the cars and the locomotives and the local move formats. This is what I wanted to show. You can show the color and the length of the car if you want to, things like that. You can do the switch list by track summary and route location. I just want one because it gets too confusing. So, so those are some options that you can. And down here is where I set the logo. I showed it where my logo was, and that's what it prints at the top of every one of my manifest and switch list. Okay. So here's just for the refinery local. I'm picking up 12 empties and running them to the refinery. Picking these up, setting these out, and then returning to the yard. So there we go. Now, as my train goes along, I'm not going to do this because I don't want to set moves to my cars. If you've got a dispatcher's panel, this might be different because you can actually move trains, using your dispatcher's panel, but I'm going to be doing this manually. So what's happening is, as the train traverses your layout, you'll click move for each stop. And that shows how many moves the cars make and how many moves your train's making. Okay, so that once the train is finished, once it returns to its arrival location, its final destination, all you do is you click terminate. and that terminates that train for that day. And then you can, of course, print a new manifest for tomorrow. So I'm using the radio button down here to, I can either hit the reset now. If I hit the reset now, you'll see that my trains aren't built any longer. I'm going to go in here and reset, save. So none of my trains are built now. See, they all have the build function button over here. So I can reset my trains. I can move this radio button to terminate and terminate each of my trains. I can move this to move and move it to the next location. The conductor, I haven't really looked at. So let's, I'm going to build one train. I'm going to build just this one. Okay, now let's see what the conductor does. Okay. So there you go, conductor. You have a, this is the list of cars in your train. Ain't that cool? I hadn't even looked at this button yet, so that's great. So if I wanted to print this out for the conductor, if I had two people running my train, an engineer and a conductor, hey, look at that. Ain't that neat? So I like that. All right, so let's notice that because all these aren't built yet, I can actually build this one now if I wanted to, see, because I have enough cabooses. So anyway, I hope you've learned something from this lesson. I think this is a great thing to do. Once we've set everything up, once we've got our train set up, now you can just click on the build button and the program will automatically just build you a random manifest. And you can do that all the time. Now, if you don't want to move anything, then that's why I suggest, go back here and click the reset buttons. You can build it again, click the reset buttons, and it'll just build it over and over. As long as you don't click the move or the terminate, you haven't done anything to the train itself. So I hope you all have enjoyed this. Now, let me offer you something too. If any of you want to use this operation section, you're just still unclear, I would be glad, for you to contact me, and I'll get on a meeting with you. I can do remote meetings, and I would be glad to show you anything, in the program, any questions you may have about the operations section. I haven't really dived that deep into the rest of the program. Okay, I'm sure I could probably figure it out, but the operations section is what I know now from doing this. So if you want a personal tutorial or ask questions, I will be glad to help anybody out there that wants to do that. So I just wanted to offer that for you, and we can get on, like I said, we can get on a remote program, and I can, you can share your screen, and I can see what you're doing, and kind of, help guide you along. So I appreciate everybody watching this little series. Once again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me, flyingcrow@yahoo.com. Leave a comment in there, and visit my Teespring store, or Spring as they're called now, and go buy you a Flying Crow coffee mug, or a shirt. It's summer's coming up. You need more t-shirts, right? If you use the code CROW, the discount code CROW, you can get 5% off. So thank you, everybody, and we will see you next time around.